I got this last final question.
Okay.
Final, right? This question is about a past project, and I really want to know because folks want to know, and I was trying to get you on during this particular time because I thought that it was a powerful piece. I want to ask you, did you expect or did you get the desired results from surviving R. Kelly? Was that did it come home properly? What's your thoughts on it? And pros, cons, or whatever, if you don't mind.
This ain't no last question. This is a big question. However, I've answered it enough, and this is probably why I was like, "No, thank you," before, because I
You
did.
ain't talk to me though, Dream. Stop
I know,
playing.
I'm sorry,
You
but
asked me about black folks in Trump, black men in Trump.
all
I
right,
can
so
ask
let
you
me
about R.
answer.
Kelly.
Yeah, R. Kelly, who was like up in the Trump Tower,
No question. See,
had
see
his
how see how we worked that out?
right there. You
We
go.
together in this track.
And like Trump, um, sees himself, and I see a lot of brothers doing this with Tory Lanez as the victim, right?
Right, right.
So super Trumpian, but I still, my desired outcome, I didn't anticipate anything like jail time because he had already had a trial in '08 and
Right.
had manipulated the system in a way, and mostly by delaying that trial. And also keeping the young girl who was the victim at that time, 14-year-old girl, close to him, thinking that she was in a relationship with him, that they were in love and that they had a relationship throughout that whole period. So she was never going to, it wasn't until she saw Surviving R. Kelly that she finally woke up in her 30s and realized how she had been a part of a pattern and that she had been in an abusive and exploitative and predatory relationship. So for that alone is an incredible outcome. For that sister to have seen our project and realized, because that is a mind thing. I mean, that's the whole thing
Indeed,
about
indeed. Yeah, yeah.
being a predator is not, is all, like so little of it is sexual. Like even though it is rape and statutory rape and all those things, most of it is about having someone you can control, shape, mold, whatever euphemism you want to use. But that's like the key to predation, right? And in terms of like him going to jail and all of that, I'm an abolitionist. I fight to get people out of jail. I fight to end in the prison system in general. I understand it as an extension of slavery and what would have been far more powerful for him. And this is true for this boy Tory Lanez too. Is an apology. Tory Lanez today came out talking about he's not apologizing. A little gremlin up in jail somewhere got a tweet out about how he ain't, some social media post about how he ain't apologizing, and what would have changed the culture, right?
Right.
Like my docu-series, maybe people watched it, but him going to prison doesn't change the culture of Black people. It doesn't change the culture of folks who love his music, and he is like the heir to Frankie Beverly, and that he belongs to us. He's like, he, especially a Detroiter, like that kind of music is what we play at our family reunions, weddings, when we step in, all of that, right? So he
Mm.
really belonged to us. He had one or two crossover hits. And had he come out and like owned the harm, if he had come out and there would have been a lot of like grace for him, as a
Right,
victim
right.
himself. If he had been like, listen, I started being raped at 7 years old and I never understood or knew what healthy relationships were. And I have harmed countless women, and I'm here to like make that right, which involves financial restitution,
Women
right?
and little girls. Right. Yeah.
Women and
Yeah.
well, yes, yep. Preteens was his thing. And I learned the difference when I was making this between a pedophile and an onophile and all of these things. So it wasn't little girls, but yes, I think a 14-year-old, he met that 14-year-old victim when she was 12. So we don't know exactly when his predation began, but we know that this, women and young women, young pre-teenage girls were the targets of his predation. And had he apologized for that, same with Dr. Dre, same with all, and I'm not saying that an apology is what all that restorative justice is about, but it begins with that. It begins with owning the harm. It begins with having a plan for restitution. Um, and doing that publicly, I think would have been healing. I thought that when Mike Tyson went to jail. He went to jail, came home, and we still was like, that Sister Desiree Washington is a liar and she talks like a white girl, whatever we said about her, right? So
Right.
time after time, you see this harm happen to Black women. And yeah, maybe sometime there's like some institutional response. The state has like a sentence that they're going to mete out to someone, but that's not healing. That doesn't change anything in our community. That actually just makes us double down on protecting Black men from a system that we know exploits Black folks of all genders, but yes, absolutely Black men, more than any of us. And so I don't know. I hope that's an answer that you can accept.
You got me. You know, I appreciate you. I thought you was gonna say, I said no. You know what I'm saying? But
Whoa. I mean, I've said all this before, but yeah, I
right,
just
right.
I
Yeah,
don't
if
and none of
you ain't say it on my show though, Dream. I
right.
don't be I don't,
None
I'm
of the
like
sisters
you. I
we
don't listen
talked
to
to
everybody
said
else.
that. That none of
Right,
them said, I want him to go to jail." They may have said
right,
it after, but that when
right,
I said, "What would you say to R. Kelly if he was watching this?" They was like, "I just want him to stop. I just want him to like
right.
stop lying that he didn't do this, you know, because I've been harmed by him and it changed my whole life and I'm messed up to this day." None of them had therapy. Therapy's expensive. That's
Mm,
the restitution, the financial part. And you know, around his team, like, where's the part where, you know, it's like, I don't know, the numbers of Black women who've been sexually assaulted, harassed, or raped is like 110%, right? And the
right.
number of brothers who know someone who is sexually harassed, raped, or assaulted is like zero. So it's a disconnect, you know?